It's the first day of the promised year 2021. Happy New Year, South Africa. And to everyone who's expecting a message from me right now, this is me saying Happy New Year to you. 365 days later, we are here, good people. New gym memberships will be on the rise. The health section at the food store will be full. People will be leaving their December relationships in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's over. I've got Refile and Elma in the heezy.
Why are you so happy about people's relationships ending?
I'm just saying, but we're getting back to regular programming. I'm so happy that you guys are here.
And he's smiling because he's been gymming since 2020.
Also just showing us flame.
Oh, come on.
So rude.
And kickstarting our year with us is one of South Africa's finest presenter, Mr. Samora Mangesi.
Oh, yes. Also, guys, can I just have special mention for Elma? I think we cannot speak about Elma without first saying, "80 blow fun on say yeah."
Whoa. Guys, I cannot start 2021 with that.
I've been holding that one in since I saw you in this dress.
Oh, that was great.
So now that my makeup is running, you've defeated me, by the way. Oh, we were entertained, enraged, and enthralled by some of the biggest moments in popular culture for the year 2020. Sure, guys. Tonight, we are going into the entertainment archives for the year that was, because no matter how you sliced this thing, entertainment in 2020, it entertained.
I'm still composing myself.
Don't start it again, now we're all going to laugh.
Okay, so guys, focus. When the coronavirus broke out, I don't think any of us knew just how much it would take from us. It left us heartbroken. But COVID wasn't the only heartbreaking thing that happened in 2020. We also lost some incredible people, and we need to honor them. The world mourned the deaths of many fallen heroes in 2020. Kobe Bryant, Chadwick Boseman, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Joseph Shabalala, Mary Twala, Zinzi Mandela, Sean Connery, guys, that one caught me off guard. May their souls continue to rest in peace.
How old was Sean Connery for his death to catch you off guard?
I just didn't, it's not like he featured on my wavelength. So when I got the news, I honestly, I didn't even know that he was ill. Guys, don't be mean. My blame.
Okay, let's continue.
Compose and focus, guys. This is the in memoriam section.
For me, it was...
Yes, thank you, Alma.
Someone needs to bring us a violin.
For me, you know what, unlike Elma, I was caught off guard by somebody who actually died unexpectedly and young. It was Chadwick. That got me, you know. And the thing is, the fact that he was such a good guy. I didn't know him personally. I know you guys think
I feel like we felt his good energy through every
but he
screen.
had good energy, and I could tell the kind of person that he was, especially when his friends in the entertainment business came out. I was just like, rest in peace, man.
So can we take a moment to also just commemorate someone who did this from across the shores or the waters of the Atlantic? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for me, was just a force to be reckoned with. Until the very last day, she clung on to prioritize her job on the US Supreme Court. And when she took, one of her final moments was, do not let Donald Trump replace me with a candidate of his choosing. Of course, he's done that, but I think fundamentally the work that she did as a young lawyer as well, just cementing and growing the rights of women, was so important.
For me, it definitely had to be Mary Twala. And I mean, guys, Mama Twala was a monument.
Yes.
I really did not think that she had the capabilities of passing away, because she has been around for a very long time. You know, forever and ever, amen. You know?
I just want to find out, what was it for you in 2020 that, in popular culture, that made you go, hang on, wait a minute, let's interrogate?
Kanye actually launched the presidential campaign which is weird. What is weirder is he actually got votes. Who votes for Kanye West
Kanye West fans.
Yeah.
Kanye West fans.
to be president?
In a make or break election, by the way, not just in. Anyway, yeah.
Alma, people voted for Donald Trump, so I mean, Kanye West was not too far off.
Okay, what was it for you then?
Definitely for me, it had to be Nut Music's account being hacked. And of course, you know, Nandi Matita saying, I'm not 7, but I'm recognizing the whole black.
But why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? They're 7-year-olds. Like, it's not like she said she was recognized by infants. You know, for me, the one thing that got me this year was. I'm just not.
I don't know. I'm laughing so hard. I don't know. Like someone put something in the water.
I think it's the champagne from yesterday.
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
It's still deep within.
So what got me was the stolen ideas and the ideas that were purported to be stolen. You know, from your Somizi, and it happened to him twice.
Yeah.
And then there was David Tlale. And then there was Questa with the BMW thing. And then there was Ephraim with the Maxhosa thing. And then there was John Boyega with the John Boyega thing. So that, for me, I just feel good to see this year, can we push for fresh ideas?
Also, copyright your ideas, ne? Do the work.
Fashion is also very tricky territory.
Yeah, you know what I'm
can
saying?
we just keep it classy for a moment? Ne? It's Beyonce's Black is King for me.
And for me, in that Black is King, it's for kids seeing Nandi and recognizing her.
Exactamundo.
And for me, I was just like, well done, Nandi. Well done.
I just love the way that it spiraled out of control and everybody had their own.
You like the drama.
No,
the
but
drama.
people do that to Nandi all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you always look at it, you just look at what she said, and then it's always taken out of
What was
context.
the other one where she was talking about if you're not 30 and done this and done this? I was like,
Just read it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I need you guys to focus in this direction. I've got a game that we need to play because 2020 has dished up a lot for us to talk about.
Yes.
And we can't get through all of it, but I've got 3 cards here with some really important stuff that we have to cover.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
1.
Okay.
Can we audit that? Did you see
I'm
that?
just checking. Okay. Matchmake the following people with someone you think would be good for them.
Sure. Okay.
Norma and Melusi Gagaba.
Well, whoever Melusi was talking to in that video that he posted a very long time ago.
Didn't quite
baby.
burst, but yeah.
Moshe and Pelo.
It's the little things that get to me. I don't know, because you see, those ones are back together. So, like,
they're back together.
I can't really know matchmake people.
Black coffee.
Black coffee.
Does he need help? Is he sorted out?
I'm saying, Guti, you might as well just ahambe no bonang, bahambe bobabili.
Buy a New York.
Buy a New York.
Also, I like that. I like the suggestion. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a tax bracket.
I'm a tax bracket. Not here. But what I'm saying is that it would work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
the profile speaks to each other.
And she said it herself.
Oh, black coffee will never be stressed.
Does Black Coffee
is a
look like
DJ.
they've been stressed in his life?
Dude, like-
He can handle her.
1 or 2. 2 or 3.
No, I'll take 2.
2.
Yeah.
Okay. Talking point, who needs monitoring in 2021? Whose meltdowns have provided us with the most entertainment? Pick one.
Yeah.
DJ Speedster, Fikile Mbalula, Muncha Alzanele, or Kanye.
It's got to be Speedster.
Do you want more Speedster time?
It's got to be Speedster. That cute little face. He makes
But doesn't
controversy. He makes controversy look cute.
But doesn't that change how he looks in your eyes? Like, because sometimes people just need to keep quiet and not tweet.
I
look
just like Moonchild's meltdowns because they come with colorful language as well. So I like that. It's grown up. You know, I can consume it as a grown up. I can consume it as a grown up.
Adult content.
You know, I don't understand this other hip hop beef. I mean, I like Moonchild will describe things.
Moonchild was no you. Best cause.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
No, I'm here for the Speedster.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pick
hip-hop
3 if we still have time.
Okay, no. We're out of time. We are going to quickly take a break. When we come back, Mikey Jamie breaks down the politics of 2020. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for
Happy
having me,
New Year.
guys.
Thanks for hanging out.
Sharp, right?
Got look at COVID. Yay!
Hopefully
Okay,
we'll
bring me
2021.
sanitizer, please. Nice and sanitizer. Okay, bye. We'll see you now. We're just going to sanitize.
happy.
Also that, right? Welcome back. You're still tuned into Trending SA. Our next guest needs very little introduction.
Okay, David Letterman.
A friend. Yes. He's a friend of Ta. Mighty Jamie is a trusted voice when it comes to politics in this year, our country, South Africa. Welcome to Trending SA, Mighty
Pleasure to
Jamie.
be here, but it's a pressure introduction. Because now people are taking notes and I'm like, just wait.
Listen, the pressure's on, pressure, no pressure. But that's why we love you, right? So COVID-19 breaks out. It shuts down the whole world. We go into a state of disaster in South Africa on the 27th of March, 2020. The president announces that we need 500 billion rand to get through this pandemic. A lot of tenders go out. And then, my friends, this is how the tale of corruption flourishing 2020 begins. Yeah. I love a good story.
Yeah, when the news of the PPE tender corruption scandal broke out in July, I don't think any of us had any idea just how deep it would get. I mean, we had a feeling, but from a guest house owned by a politician's daughter being used as an isolation facility to improper procurement of sanitizers, and then that scooter project in Port Elizabeth.
Love
Who
it.
can forget?
Guys.
Oh, my goodness.
Jamie, what was it for you? Like, out of all the things that we've mentioned, what is the one that
Or
stood
even
out
others
for
that
you?
we haven't, because it's been a lot.
Well, the money bushiried, right? Like 1 minute it was there, next minute it was somewhere else. So I mean,
Major one.
so that's what happened to the money. But I think for me, what stood out was in general the practice of overcharging for the tenders. Because I remember I looked at one of the JoJo tanks. It was costed at about 8,000, and when it got to KZN, it was now 24,000. And that obviously shows that the money wasn't going where it was meant to go. But I think the most offensive one to me was where somebody merely got an invoice from Pick and Pay and just scribbled
That written invoice.
community outreach, COVID-19 education, and there were a few of them, I think, but the one was 1.4 million, and it was approved. And money was flowing into people's accounts, and I was just like, it's like the corruption wasn't even savvy. It had no finesse. Someone just walks to Pick and Pay, gets that 20 Rand invoice book, and this is how money was being spirited away. You know,
Spirited away.
and it's taxpayers' money. So for me, that was a big one.
Speaking of taxpayers' money, so the politicians were going at it. They were just going. But as if that's not enough, the men and women with red berets came for our former public protector, Thuli Madonsela. Was I the only one that kept on refreshing their Twitter timeline to see where the next jab is going to come from? Was I honestly the next one? Because I remember Thuli posted this and said, in my view, the Clicks case, Black Hair Matter, is a textbook case of unconscious bias. Calling it out is great, but anarchy and violence undermine the cause. The best and most cerebral approach I've seen so far is a video by young black women, among them my colleague Diane Gininza. And then there was Mbuyiseni with this tweet. Find the nearest hell, Thuli. When you get there, you will know the cerebral thing to do. We need no approval from your coconut logic. Protest is constitutionally the right thing to do when authorities do not punish racism. Black Lives Matter. And we stop racism before it kills blacks. Guys, go to hell.
No,
is that how we're talking?
hell.
The nearest hell. Is that how we're talking now?
It's like there's
that's
different
the political
ones, right?
discourse.
It's like the hell by Pretext rank and the one in Cape. So you must go to the one that's...
No, because this thing, it didn't stop there. Because there was another one with the Brackenfell High thing, and then they got into it again. So what is it about this relationship between Thuli Madonsela and EF? Because they used to love each
Are
other
we
at some point.
particularly triggered by her?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be very honest and say this. I don't think that the professors who weigh into the political conversation are actually as objective as they ought to be, number one. So if we're looking at the substance of the discourse, there's the first thing around unconscious bias, right? So I don't think that those comments were of value to the discussion, because some of the racist actions that happen are not as a result of unconscious bias. They're as a result of deliberate actions. If you look at the school event, you'll find that kids were not invited to the event because there was a certain exclusivity that was sought. If you look at certain adverts, you'll find that the racist act is not getting people into the room who can call you out for choosing problematic content for your adverts, right? That's the racist and exclusionary act over and above the offensive content that you've produced, right? So when you begin to think about that question of unconscious bias and how the professors are weighing in, especially when there are obvious instances where they ought to have been critical of other actors in society. So when the farmers were shooting in courtrooms, and there was a hesitance to just say what you have done is outright wrong and actually grievous to the constitutional democracy, you didn't find the professor class actually calling out that behavior.
So do you think going forward, it's a new year, should the professor class, as you've just established, should the Thuli Madonsela be more circumspect and censor herself or read the room? What do you think that kind of weighing in on conversation should look like?
Look, I think this show tries to have balance, and it's important for the audience
to
see that.
We do.
Yeah. I mean, you proactively seek it out.
Seek it out.
It's not an incident of you just coming here. You have to think it through and say, how can we have the right level of balance so that we are responsible to our audience? But I don't think that the professor class is doing that. So the first thing that they would have to do is to self-reflect around, are they actually being balanced? Because if you're still blaming the EFF when women were being beat with baseball bats, and the conversation is not about the people beating the women with the baseball bats, and it's still about the EFF, maybe your balance is off.
And it was, by the way, you know, because when I saw the professor class that you're talking about, it was, we condemn this, that learners are learning, but also the beating of people is wrong. And I'm just like, there was sort of like, it was a by the way thing. So maybe they should tackle it together as one.
Sure. And the EFF, this is where I think they have this disproportionate response, which is it's not diplomatic at all, and maybe we should actually also call it out that the language.
I'd like
used
to have
by
that conversation as well.
It didn't enrich the discourse because it then became about the tiff between Prof. Madonsela and Lozi and maybe even the EFF and not the substantive issues.
But that's why it's not helpful when the tweet starts with find the nearest hell and go there. That's why the EFF tactics seem to be opportunistic and certainly generates a lot more interest than when they go at anyone else. And so I think that's why people are raising questions. But Jamie isn't going anywhere, and we are going to keep talking about all of the crazy political moments in South Africa over 2020, so don't miss out.
Do you have anywhere to go?
Welcome back to Trending SA. Happy New Year. If you've missed the first bit of the show, you're just in time for us chatting to Mighty Jamie about all things crazy South African politics over the last year. Of course, the US, not the only country to have hosted some elections. We had by-elections here in South Africa in November. The elections were said to have been the largest by-elections in the country ever. 107 seats up for grabs in 95 wards. The ANC won these by-elections by more than 73%. It seemed like the DA has never had a better year to maybe capture some ground because of the number of own goals scored by the governing party, and yet 73%?
Well, I think the DA took a lot of L's of their own making in 2020. And part of that is because this new direction that they've taken, which we can broadly call South African republicanism, is not appealing to the electorate. Because in the first instance, you have the return of Helen, the move away of Mashaba and Maimane and several other people. But then what then happens is they start with this narrative of we don't see color, you know, your poverty is not a result of your apartheid. So all of these things are not stuff that South Africans are going to respond well to, because the South African voter is actually very savvy. They are the reason why the democracy is shaped the way it was. So they were protesting in 79, they were protesting in the 80s, they've been protesting as students. These are not people who will just buy anything you sell. So the first instance, when you tell people we don't see your color, what you tell them is, I don't see the policies that need to be reformed that were based on color to exclude you. Because if you don't see color, then you don't see the need for affirmative action. So how do we get black students into the university spaces if you are saying, no, it's not about your color, it's just show me your marks. Show me your marks. And then you ignore the fact that Bantu education was targeted at certain communities, and a 75 in a rural area is as good as a 90 in a suburb with tutoring and all the support you need from your parents.
Jamie, just really quickly, I struggle. You just mentioned the fact that these are all L's of their own making. Why is this happening? Because she did at some point help her party, Helen Zille, grow and appeal to a larger base. What in the world is happening?
When you look at it, this new direction is one that doesn't actually create a path for the Democratic Alliance to get to any status where they can be a governing party. And it looks like they no longer care about that. And this is why, even though they're trying to spin it, at a certain point, there's a difference between narrative and reality. And I think they got the first taste of medicine from the voters who said, we are not attracted to this. We are not attracted to your messaging. We're not attracted to the visuals of your leadership. And we're not attracted to the fact that you are denying what we have gone through and what needs to be done. And you are glorifying things that you ought not to be touching, colonialism, apartheid, and the suffering of black people. To that audience, it can never be
So what do
appealing.
you think is the plan for them? What do you think is the
I
plan?
think he just said, like, they're
They
all
want to
out
run the
of...
Western Cape. That's why
Oh,
they're
so
talking
that's
about
the plan.
Yeah,
the Western Cape is going to be a new Orania, as far as I can see the DA project. They think they can consolidate around the Western Cape and use that base to still hold the presidency to account, because you must remember the DA still enjoys a lot of support in powerful spaces of capital. You know, it's a very controversial word in South Africa, but they do have the audience of capital. They do have the audience of influential people, even the farming community. And that's why you've seen them push and lean on narratives that say, hey, capital, we've got your back. Ramaphosa must reopen the economy. And hey, farming community, we've got your back. How many people are dying on your farms? Why are you being attacked? Even though 6,000% more people have died in the Western Cape alone from murder than on farms across the whole country.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. Mighty Jamie, it's always so amazing to get your insights. Really, really is. And thank you for spending the first day of the year with us. Make sure you tune in next week. We have an exciting lineup in store for you. Good night. Happy New Year, Mzansi.
Happy